Normandy, His Majesty the King boards his cruiser, the Arethusa, to visit his troops on the Western Front. Significant of our mastery of Channel supply lines is the light escort in attendance. Only 2 destroyers and several fighter squadrons guard the royal ship as it speeds on its mission to the French coast. There are no bands, flags, or royal red carpet to herald this great historical occasion. General Montgomery welcomes His Majesty ashore, where he is to preside at an investiture of heroes of the beaches. The ceremony takes place less than 10 miles from enemy lines and is punctuated by the roar of guns. For exceptional work done during the past year in planning the Normandy attack, the commander of the 3rd Canadian Division, Major General R.F.L. Keller, receives from the King's hand the Silver Cross, investing him as commander of the British Empire. The fighting men hail their beloved ruler, the King. Giant Dakota planes provide the last word in casualty evacuation from Normandy. Nursing Sister Ogilvy was one of the first 2 women to fly with them to France on her vital mission of mercy. Serious cases requiring treatment from specialists are given quick diagnosis. They are tagged and loaded into the flying ambulances for speedy evacuation. Careful attention is paid to their comfort. Living under battle conditions, sleeping in slit trenches close to the roar of enemy guns, the staff of medical officers and nurses does a magnificent job. In an amazing short time after taking off, our airborne wounded are back at a base hospital. The Air Medical Service, commencing operations 7 days after D-Day, continues. It makes sure that wounded Canadians receive the best treatment that science and skill can provide. Far from the din of battle stands the Canadian General Hospital, housing some of Canada's casualties recently arrived from France. A welcome visitor comes to its doors, Her Majesty the Queen, who is taking time out from her many functions to visit her Canadian boys. The trim, gray-clad figure with a dazzling smile wears the diamond maple leaf presented to her during the royal visit to Canada. For 3 hours in every ward, she talks to the wounded fighting men of Canada. The magic of her personality banishes all thoughts of depression. After speaking to each man individually and hearing their thrilling stories, the Queen comments briefly, "The Canadians are doing a wonderful job." She leaves behind appreciation for her kindly thoughtfulness. To dockyards across the Dominion, Canadian girls flock to answer the call of the United Nations for ships and more ships. Joan Canuck has forsaken vogue and Vanity Fair for blueprints and construction plans. The frilly dresses and fancy hairdos of pre-war days have given way to overalls and workers' caps. Brother, husband, and boyfriend on the Italian front and in Normandy need supplies, and supplies mean ships to carry them. Miss Canada is just the person to build those ships, and build them well with her own lily white hands. After the war, a barrage of red-hot rivets may take the place of the traditional rolling pin as feminine weapon Mark I when hubby comes home late. When it comes to fixing the gas stove or the family bus, the boys will have to take a back seat. When victory is won, a great share of the credit will be due to our fair Amazons in overalls. The convoy at sea represents the lifeline of our forces in the field. To maintain one fighting man in action, it requires 19 other men behind the scenes. Most of these are found handling the gigantic project of keeping the Army supplied with weapons, ammunition, and food, and the Air Force with planes and petrol. Under the Navy's protecting guns, all manner of craft are brought into use in the never-ending battle of keeping supply dumps filled. As soon as a beachhead is established, cargo vessels which are standing by commence pouring out their quota of stores. In In Normandy, ever-growing dumps were established as soon as assault troops cleared the approach to the beaches. In Italy, where ports and bases are well established, an important part of the supply system carries personal mail and parcels from home to the troops in action. Thousands of miles from home in a strange foreign country, news from home is almost as important as shells for the guns. The General Staff considers that getting the mail through quickly is of prime importance. With this in view, our modern invasion program calls for a mail service to be in operation a few days after the initial assault troops touch down on the beach. From a moderate beginning, a mighty flow of letters soon moves through. The outpouring of thousands of factories in the United Nations have been collected together in the greatest storehouse in the world. 4 years of toil and sacrifice have given us our full quota of tools to do the job. From the pitiful conditions of 1940, when British Home Guards stood by with pikes to repel invasion, our resources have grown to almost fantastic heights. Gone are the days when our fighting vehicles were numbered in dozens. Now untold transport and thousands of planes occupy hundreds of acres of space. All are ready to move into action at a moment's notice. Equipment is forever on the move. The parent storehouse in the United Kingdom feeds the other great supply stores in Normandy and Italy. These are continually demanding more and more material as the fighting grows in intensity and our front lines are extended. This time we have more than adequate equipment and the supply lines to bring it to the final assault, which will forever smash the forces of evil. Flash, an old French chateau selected as headquarters for the public relations services, comes under enemy fire. The war correspondents thought they had a nice, comfortable billet, but Jerry had the range taken. He soon livened things up with direct hits. With only 2 light casualties, the men who gather the news scramble around the blazing building to save the most precious part of their kit, their typewriters. Flash! Filtering back from the front of our victorious advance, the stream of prisoners presents many problems. Beardless youths mingle with hardy veterans of the Eastern Front. With the respect of one fighting man for another, they receive honorable treatment at our hands. French peasants with years of indignity to avenge are not so particular. Some of the prisoners are badly beaten before they can be rescued by our forces. Flash! Whenever there's a road to clear or a battered town to clean up, the call goes out for the engineers. Along they come with their vehicle of 100 uses, the bulldozer. Blazing jeeps or demolished houses are the same to this ubiquitous workhorse. Manned by experienced crews, the bulldozer keeps open the road to victory. The tide of battle flows forward from the beaches of Normandy, forward through quaint old-world villages, leaving in its wake a strange peace. Inhabitants emerging from their havens of safety mingle with our troops. They assay the damage wrought by the relentless machines of war. Patrols move on the hunt for rations, where yesterday the chase was for grimmer spoils. Now it's a carefree moment before the next attack, when Canadian soldiers can take stock of the countryside and fortify the inner man. Like Sunday afternoon off after a hard week at the office, the lads bask in the summer sunshine. There's all the latest news to read up, experiences of action to recall, and letters to write home. The most important thing of all is rest, sleep, and then more sleep. And, of course, one must clean up a bit and get the old push bike in order, because somebody might pay a call. All visitors, however, are not welcome. When it comes to specialized pursuits like milking Bossy, the city lads learn a few tricks from their farm buddies. A few years ago in sunny Saskatchewan or rural Ontario, the citizen soldiers drew pay for doing what is now great sport. When it comes to making friends, especially when the friends are handy with a needle, Johnny Canuck is right in there pitching. A solemn note surcharges scenes of rural peace. Among the poppy-studded fields of Normandy, comrades lie. Comrades whose courage makes possible the freedom which is the heritage of this lovely country. A simple tribute is paid by British soldiers and French civilians to those Canadians who won the beaches on Invasion Day. They gave their all for great principles. Principles which will bring to a united world peace and freedom.